Hi guys, I've climbed a mountain today to share my experiences with you guys. I'm sat on a mountain in southern Spain in the Mediterranean. I hope it sounds okay on this. It's rather windy up here and I'm actually filming this via a mobile phone. It should be pretty good because it's quite an iron phone. And I just wanted to share my thoughts and basically share with you how after 40 years or so I suddenly found Jesus. Now it's a video I thought I probably would never ever be making. For a long time I was what you would probably call an agnostic, and last November, we're in August now of 2018, last November I had a profound experience where God spoke to me and told me a few things, and I'll probably share that testimony with you guys at some later stage. That's if you want me to share it with you. It changed me profoundly, instantly, in the click of a finger. I changed from having no faith in Jesus, no real interest in the Bible, to overnight reading the Bible, being wrapped in this glorious light that lasted for a couple of months. I was in a euphoric state. Everything was different. The light was different, the sun was different, the stars at night were different. The love I had for my wife and my dogs was magnified tenfold or more, maybe. Very, very profound thing that happened to me. I kept it to myself somewhat to start with. I didn't really tell my wife what I'd experienced. Briefly I did, but I didn't go into details. I started reading the Bible, started looking at the scriptures, and suddenly, after 40 years at 50 plus, realised that as a child the stories I'd heard were just stories as a child, but as I read through John and the letters from Paul, it suddenly was brought home in a fantastic way that I was getting an insight to something that profoundly happened over 2,000 years ago. My initial thoughts on the church, and probably they still are, I go to church now on a Sunday and I take communion and I share in the fellowship with other people who are in that church. It's a very non-idolic church. We don't have idols of Christ or the Virgin Mary or anything like that. My faith as a child was Church of England, so I was Protestant. I was taken into that camp, or that club I should say, purely by parental guidance. Now, as a child, when you have no choice and you're indoctrinated into a club of that type, it's hard to describe, but you don't have a faith because it's not through free choice. So my idea, when I was a child, I went to Sunday school and I was in the choir till I was an early teen. And then as you get to adolescence and teenage years, science, the theories of Darwin creep into your head. All these other ideas suddenly become the forefront of your thought, and you're adolescent, you're growing up, you've got things you want to do. And Christianity doesn't appeal because of the formality and the hierarchy of the churches as we know them, especially here in Europe. The Catholic Church, from Constantine over the last 1700 years, and all the other churches, not just the Catholic Church, have done so much damage here in Europe and throughout the globe. It's not just Europe, it's throughout the globe, to the way the church is perceived. It's taken away from the original teachings of Christ and the apostles, whereby everything was informal. Christ, when he sat down with his apostles and he sat down with people and he spoke to them, spoke in a way that they could relate to. The people who were listening to Christ at that time all had a strong faith in God because they were Jews from Judea and Israelites, and they'd been brought up with the Torah, the early Testament that we now know as our Old Testament. So they were all well versed, and they did follow the formality of going to the temples and doing the services on a Sabbath, which was their Saturday. But the difference and the reason that Christ and Jesus and his followers gained such a mass following is because they told people in an everyday way, an informal way, a gathering of people who could relate to what he was saying, sit down, hear what he was saying, and really feel the Spirit wash over him in a way that wasn't organised like the churches are. Now, I do believe the church has a role to play, but my faith lies totally in Jesus Christ and that cross. I realise the Old Testament also has a lot to play. Jesus quoted the Old Testament in a lot of his teachings. Isaiah, he used a lot of quotes from the Old Testament to put his point across. But I think throughout the globe now, people see the church, or certainly a priest or a vicar or any sort of preacher that wears a robe pertaining to a religious denomination, as being quite off-putting, and they're not open and approachable. And I think that's part and parcel of the whole problem. What people need to realise is that if they search for Jesus on their own, they will find Jesus. And when they find him, their lives will be profoundly changed. When Jesus comes into your heart, if you read through parts of the New Testament, when you find Jesus, Jesus comes into your heart, you're reborn, your old heart dies, if you like, you're reborn into spirit, and everything that you did before, whether it was sinful or whatever, changes. You become a different person, you're reborn again. And it's a fantastic feeling to find that. And even as I speak, and I'm speaking to you guys now, I'm talking to you, and it's something 12 months ago I would have said, oh, he's a Bible basher, this guy's trying to throw Jesus at me. I'm not trying to persuade anybody to become a Christian. What I'm trying to say is that it's changed my life in a positive way. Once you find Jesus and you look through the Bible and you read, it doesn't matter what denomination you are, whether you're Catholic, Methodist, Latter-day Saints, Mormon, when you find the true Jesus and you embrace him and you change, firstly what happened with me to start with was an overwhelming feeling of guilt that for 40 years I'd been wrong. I was told I was wrong when I had my revelation, if you like, or if that's a way I want to describe it. I was told that in my way of thinking I was wrong. And at that moment I just dropped to my knees, and I'm not the sort of guy that lets his emotions flow out, but it just brought me to tears, and I was in an emotional state for quite a while. And after that led to euphoria. But the way it changes you as a person is you get an inner peace, an inner calm that takes away the processes that you had previously. So we're all worrying about something in life, but I can honestly say from the last 9 months, I wake up each day knowing that I'll be okay and I'll be blessed and I'll be taken the right way, because I know that I've got Jesus in my heart, and I believe what he said. And when he sat down with his followers, his preachings were the way, and he is the only way. He is the one living God, or he was the living God on earth, part of the Holy Trinity, 3 in 1, the Holy Ghost, the Godhead in heaven, and Jesus Christ, God here on earth while he was here with us. And it's changed my life profoundly. My wife at the time, once I did open up to her and tell her that I'd found my faith, she wasn't shocked, but she didn't have the same feelings that I had. A good few years earlier, her mother had died, and her mother at the time when she died didn't renounce her faith, but she pushed any sort of religious people that tried to help her away, because she was angry that she'd got a terminal disease and it was killing her, and she just lashed out really. I've come to realise since then, once my wife found her faith, and both of our testimonies are very, very strong. We will share them with you at some point. They're immensely strong and they're both very powerful. My wife's testimony changed her overnight from not having a faith but being agnostic, similar to what I was, to having this tremendous faith through an episode that happened to her as well. And what I would say to you, once you find your faith, there is a devil on this planet, there is an antichrist, and that antichrist will come against you and try and knock you down. Now, I found my faith in November. In February, it's my birthday, and I became quite ill, which is still ongoing, but it's not as bad as it was. I had loads of tests. 12-14 years ago I had a major operation for a tumour, which thank God it was benign. So it's related to that. But not long after that, in April, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. Just give me a minute, guys. And it's a battle we're fighting, but without the strength and the power and the healing of Jesus, it's a battle we wouldn't get through. So that has helped us tremendously. But what I want to say to all of you guys, if you have no faith, if you're lost, you're looking for something, but you have a spiritual being, which a lot of people do. A lot of people say, oh, I believe in Mother Earth, I believe there's something, I believe in Reiki, I believe in laying on of hands, I believe if I pray to the universe something will come back. You're halfway to finding Jesus. You've got that spiritual faith already. You just need to take the final step. Open that Bible and find him, because when you find him, it will change your life in such a drastic way that you'll never want to go back. And for me, the hardest thing is openly, this is a strange thing for me to do this video, because in the New Testament there are various places where they say that if you have a strong faith in Jesus, you should go forth and share that faith. It's part and parcel of having a faith in Christ, to share that message and share it to other people. It's so hard in our society to share a faith that you've not previously had and have people reject you. You can go on social media, you can post something. I listen to a lot of Crowder music, I listen to a lot of music that's faith-based, and there's some great music out there. I have lots of other tastes in music. I don't not just listen to faith-based music. But if you, for instance, was to share one of these videos that really touch your soul on Facebook or other social media, you get a negative reaction. You might get a few people, older people, that might say, oh, well, praise God, or God bless, or whatever, or God's with you, or whatever. But one final thing I will say to you before I end this video, and obviously depending on your comments and reactions to this video, I'll make other videos. I'm not doing this for any gratification, for any self-gratification, any gain in any way. There won't be any adverts on this video. It won't be monetized, although I have got other channels that I do that with. It's purely to try and express what I've found and what I feel. But what the final message I will give to you, it's not about the end game. Don't get to a certain age in life and say, I better start going to church, because if there is an heaven, I want to get in. You can't just join the club and put a coat on a Sunday and be a Sunday Christian and then the rest of the week totally forget about it. You've got to keep fueling that belief. And every day I read a small part of my Bible, whether it's just a verse off a Bible app. I listen to faith-based music, and I stoke and I fuel my Christianity, my faith in Jesus Christ. And by doing that way, you're totally kept in the spirit. If you don't put fuel in a car or a motorbike or any other vehicle, you'll drive down the road and that vehicle will stop. If you don't keep refueling your faith will wane during the week, and you'll go back the following Sunday, and okay, you might be filled with faith while you're in that church service, you're taking communion or whatever you're doing. It might be really greatly enhanced while you're at that moment in time. But then when you come out and you take your Christian coat off and you throw it in the boot of your car and leave it till the following Sunday, you cannot be part of a club. You've got to let Jesus in, and you've got to keep that faith going and fuel that faith all week long, because it's not about the end game. It's not about getting to heaven when you're old. It's about being filled with the Spirit and the faith while you're here and now. And I do believe that a lot of the evangelistic movements in America, although a lot of them are monetary based, and there is a lot of corruption in every type of faith. If you look at the mega churches or the concerts that Crowder put on, or Hillsong or anybody like that, the young people that go to these concerts are in the moment and they're in the Spirit now. They're not waiting to find an afterlife, an heaven, to meet God or Jesus in the afterlife. They're living the faith and the Spirit now. And all I would say to you is don't just go to Sunday service or whatever you do and be a Sunday Christian. Live the faith for now and embrace that Spirit. Once that light comes into your soul, you'll walk and you'll see things in a different light. You'll see your wife, your children, everything will become brighter, everything will become lighter. All I can say to you is that the door has been opened a tiny little bit. Once I had my episode or revelation or whatever you want to call it, I'll tell you later about it, the door opened a slight bit, just a chink, and the light that came through was blinding. But that door for me is nowhere near open as much as it's going to be in the future. It'll open bit by bit. So I don't know everything. I don't know all the answers, but I do know that I've found something that's drastically changed my life. It's given me hope. It's given me faith. It's given me something that I didn't have before. A peace, an inner peace, a rebirth of my heart and my soul. And although we're tempted by the devil tries to knock us down, and it certainly has with me and my wife along the way. The stronger our faith gets, the stronger he tries to knock us down. But with our faith and with the love of Jesus Christ and God, we will prevail and we will get stronger. And the stronger we get, the more he'll try and knock us down. And that's where you guys, if you like this video, pray for me, pray for my wife, and pray for all those people out there that haven't got Jesus in their lives, that he's waiting. We walk a path where one side of the path you've got the devil, the other side you've got Jesus, and we're given the free will by God to choose that path, just the same as Eve was in the garden to start with. People say, why did God put that tree there with an apple on it? He put it there because he gave man the free will. All the things that happen to mankind, cancer, drought, famine, they're none of God's doing. They're mankind's doing, and God looks down and weeps. And if you're truly saved, God will help if he can. But God can only change certain things if you really embrace the Spirit of Jesus and bring it into your life. Things that, like my wife with the cancer, it's not God that's given my wife cancer. It's human beings that have changed this planet. We've brought pesticides, different things we eat, everything's sprayed. It's mankind that's done it. And Jesus weeps, and Christ and God, they weep together, knowing that what we've done to our planet and what we've done to our earth. So don't live for every Sunday thinking you're going to live for the end game. It's not about the end game, it's about here and now. So God bless. Jesus Christ be with all of you, and I hope this message gets through to some of you and you make some comments below. Like I say, I'm not a pastor, I'm not a priest, I'm just an ordinary guy that's found enlightenment sitting on the top of a mountain in the Mediterranean, looking at the scenery, very similar to what Jesus would have walked around in the Mediterranean part of the world he was in at the time, in awe of nature, in awe of everything, and feeling the love and sending love to you guys. Anyway, faith be with you. Thanks for listening.